I'm going to share with you all of what I have learned at the Yehudi Menuhin School, and we will explore all the secret of that wonderful tradition. We are going to explore all aspects of viola playing. We are going to talk about sound production. We are going to talk about how to frame your hand. We are going to explore all kinds of exercise to get rid of tension and how to become a better violist. Many years ago, when I was in my 20s, I left my own town in Italy, Naples, to go and study at the Menuhin Academy in Switzerland, which was the school Menuhin created for more advanced players, because he has another school in England, which is the Menuhin School. It was very clear to me that I was very behind everybody else. I didn't have the same level. And I was facing this situation where I needed to learn everything from scratch, to fix things and to develop many other things. And in this course, I'm going to go through so many of those concepts, so many of those exercises that help me, and over the years help my own students, so I know they really work. I'm sure you have been told or you heard from your own teacher what is the right position to hold the bow, or what is the right position to hold the viola, where the finger should go, and so on. Now, I came to the conclusion that saying the right position doesn't really exist. I believe, and I've seen very clearly, not just with my own student, with myself, but also with many other wonderful players around the world, that what you should achieve in order to play better the violin, the viola, the cello, is to reach the right feeling, to get the right, sensation when you play. Instead of being obsessed about the exact placement of your finger or your arm and so on, in the viola is more about getting the right feeling, the right sensation. That's what is going to make a difference in playing your instrument better. Let's start from basically scratch. Basically what I did, because I could play the back chaconne when I auditioned for Menuhin, but I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and what was coming out was not particularly good. So I would like to show you what I was told to do right from the beginning when I joined the Menuhin Academy. So let's start, in fact, without having the instrument with us. Let's put the instrument away. Let's speak about our body and our hands. So the principle of Menuhin was that when you play, either you play softly, or you play very loud, or you play with great intensity, your body should be free. Nothing should be, stiff or stuck. And he believed that there is no movement, no big or small movement, that can be free if there is no roundness in the movement. So I remember he used to show this to us, which is the following. So basically, let's start actually just from the right. He would always mention that playing the violin is like you would throw something away, right? And when you do that, naturally, right, and in a way that actually doesn't make you tired, your body is not stiff. Your body is actually moving, right? So you don't just do this. You let the body actually move with the movement, right? It gives you that kind of reaction, you see? So I'm not intentionally moving the hip. It just moves by itself from me throwing my arm on the side, right? And same thing happens with the other one. I don't know if you can see that. And now how about if we combine both of them together? This is something not just Menuhin, but also Menuhin's protégé, Alberto Lisi, which was our teacher, always show us in master classes, right? So he would do that, which would make us laugh, of course, and I still laugh when I say it, but I can assure you that it's. I remember, to be completely honest to you, that when I saw it for the first time, I was thinking, what is he talking about? I was so confused, and I thought it was funny, if not even ridiculous. But I tell you, when I look back and I look now, that was so important for me to understand the concept of roundness and the concept of freedom. So let's go back to this, you see? And now you see you playing, when you think about that's you playing, you do this, right? There's roundness, so even the movement goes that. Nothing is, as I told in my tutorial for the Walton Concerto, nothing is edgy, nothing is just one way. There's always sort of a roundness mover, here and here. Same thing when we will see them later on with the viola. So there is this. So I know it looks stupid right now, but I would invite you to try that. So you just try with one hand first, you throw like you would throw right? And you try to let the body to feel this part so free that basically reacts naturally to the movement. And you do the same thing with the other hand, right? And then you combine both, and you do that. This concept with, basically a round movement is something you will hear a lot in this tutorial because it applies to both hands. And it's not just a physical movement, but it's the feeling of this physical movement. Huh? Because anything which is round, from a bow stroke to a shift to the vibrato itself, having the roundness in your mind will automatically give you the right feeling of tension-free, which is the whole point of applying those movements. We talked about movements and circular movements, and let's see how it applies on the right hand first, especially when we play. And let's just take a tone, okay, like just a D. So one very important aspect which you should always remember, even when you tune the instrument, not just when you play your concerto, you play open string, is the way you approach the bow. I think I mentioned that a little bit in the Walton concerto tutorial. Should never be just vertical, right? Or just horizontal. Basically, even if you prepare the attack, you should always come from a movement which is once more circular, right? So for you to practice this and to understand it better, I would really advise you to have short strokes where you imagine that you are basically, your hand is drawing a circle, you see? You're just drawing a circle, right? And I want you to do that. You can even do it sometimes just to get a feeling of what you're doing. And then you take the bow and you try to do the same. Right? And you do that in different string, and sometimes you can do it with a really big sound. And it's very important because this is actually a problem many people have, to be able to get a big sound from the beginning of the stroke without necessarily doing, which, that's something also we can talk about eventually, but which you should try, in stronger dynamics, right? And softman dynamics. So beside the circle we are talking about, what should you be concerned, right? Of course, the movement is circular. But you should also focus on the sensitivity of your finger. And we will see later on how to develop that even more. But it's important that it's hard to describe it. You need to feel in control. Like you need to feel that your fingers are very, very powerful, right? They're very, very strong, but at the same time, they're also very, very, very soft. It's an interesting mix, so there is a sort of, kind of, I mentioned also before, suspension feeling, right? There is a suspension feeling, but it's not as loose, because you need to get to, to have that fine control to avoid any sort of, unwanted scratch or unwanted, dirt in your sound. You really had to search for the right amount of control right before the strings gets in motion, right? By the gesture of the bow, right? And I want you to, of course, as I said before, you try different dynamic. Then one thing I want you to do slowly to increase the size of the note. So instead of just be a short movement, I want you to also practice longer movement, right? Where somehow, as you see, the circular motion continues, right? And you do it, and once more, and then, as I said before, you do very sort of, full tone, but also kind of softly, right? Where the circular is still movement, but there's probably less weight and a little bit more bow speed, right? And you do that, obviously, on the system. And as you can see, there is not such a thing as you get the fullest sound fullest sound. And yet, you get clarity without the attack, which is one of the hardest things to do. You know, to play with attack, I don't say this, nothing is easy if you have to do it well, but it's much easier than this. I know so many people that can play with a great, always with a lot of, you know, catching the notes and so, but they cannot play and not forte without having an attack. Yeah? So this is something you need to, because once more, at times your movement might be too not focused enough, so you don't get a sound from the beginning of the note. Sometimes you might do, and I'm exaggerating, but you want to have the full core of the note from the beginning. Other is piano. Other is forte. And of course, you will have to take care also that the point of contact is the right one for the amount of bow you spend and for the amount of weight you put. Going on with this sort of movement, then I would love you to do, so we talked about any smaller movement, bigger movements, but also now maybe trying to do the same in different part of the bow, not just at the front. Maybe you can start in the middle, right? Which is a little bit more complicated because suddenly you have those fingers here, they have a little bit more responsibility in order to control the bow, right? So you have but the concept of bow is still the same, as you see, right? There's still this, and you should, and the same thing you can do it, and until you can do even this one, which is the hardest I found, because here the forefinger has got a lot of responsibility to make sure that you really get a very, because it's very interesting because you have this finger which needs to put, you know, the weight still. It still has the function, but the counterbalancing that with the fourth finger also allows you to, you know, land on the string with the right speed. You know, that fine control we talk about here, which is more, in my opinion, has most to do with this part of the hand. Here, the responsibility, I think, increases dramatically when you are here. Okay, so, and you do the same, exactly the same. You start with small movement, right? Still circular, as you see. And then you go on, and I want to do the same thing, opposite bow. I want you to do that again. Now we are starting from the tip, but it will apply also here, right? And as you see, as I think I demonstrated enough, there is this taking place the whole time. I know this concept might be, as I mentioned before, a little bit weird, but trust me, give a real clear try to that, because it might solve many of your problems, especially if you are one of these players which is very stiff, not just in your hands, but stiff in your body, because you can't really play with a free sound without a free body. That body needs to be free.